Welcome to Austin, Texas for the Waterloo Last Chance Meet. Diving right in, freestyle 200 yard. This is one of Austin's first opportunities to do this. He's starting with a seed time of 3 minutes, which is not a good time, but we'll see how much time he can shave off here, considering it is a seed time, meaning that it was put in there just so he has the time, but not necessarily something that he'd earned on his own in competition. Fairly strong stroke here. You can see him in the far right side of your screen. Unfortunately, when filming, we got a little bit confused and actually accidentally filmed the wrong lane. So Austin is actually not in frame here, but that kid is also struggling and pushing pretty hard. And you can see how it does look like Austin, but unfortunately it was not. Austin is in the following lane, and you can see him here. He is pulling ahead. Really strong stroke. You're seeing him breathe on predominantly one side instead of breathing on both sides, but still looking pretty strong, coming into the edge pretty good. We've seen some really solid flip turns from him. And there we go. Just as a reminder, Austin is on the far right side of the screen, the kid that is moving towards us in the far right-hand side. Once again, apologies for this. They're easy to get confused when filming the kids. But as you can see, Austin is having a pretty strong swim. The interesting thing about filming at Waterloo in particular is that you wind up having to really push past and get into the right spot to film properly, because it is not an easy place to film a swim meet. They only have the small windows open, and especially on a night like tonight where it's cold, it's a little bit raining, you wind up with a really difficult, and there we have the final time, 2 minutes 45 seconds. Huge shave off of his time, 15 minutes and 58 seconds being shaved off there.
Yeah.
And moving on to the breaststroke, mixed 100 yard. Once again, just to give everybody a heads up, the mixed means it's both boys and girls. And the interesting thing about that is that you'll find that sometimes the girls can give the boys a run for their money. And breaststroke being one of Austin's stronger swims here, you can see him really pulling ahead, doing great, getting his full head into the water, not pulling up too high. The interesting thing with the breaststroke is you don't want to pop all the way up. You want to pop up just enough to breathe and you keep going down. But popping up will slow you down because it's more resistance on the water. And you can see how Austin is keeping his head down. He's keeping moving. You see boys and girls in the water. Austin doing a phenomenal job. So this is 100 yards. So it is 4 trips there and back. And Austin having a pretty good swim. He dropped significant time in his last event. Let's see if this can come through and also see a pretty big drop in time. His entry time, 1:32:59 for the breaststroke. Let's see how much he can shave off here. Every time the kids are in the water, they're trying to shave off time. That's how you know that they're getting faster, they're getting better, they're gaining ground here. And unfortunately, at the same time, they also, as they age up, the times change, the barriers change for them. So it's going to be very, very difficult for them to actually make the time sometimes. They have a lot of work needs to go into that. And that concludes this one. Looking for the official time result here. Looks like Austin finishes with 1:32:65, dropping 0.06 seconds. Great job there for Austin. Moving on to day 2, which takes place in the morning, unlike day 1, which took place in the evening. Starting off with a freestyle mixed, 100-yard mixed. Austin with a seed time of 1:10:80. Having a great start to this swim meet, dropping time on both events from yesterday. As we look to this wide pool angle, you can see the the Waterloo swimming pool is not nearly as large as some of the other pools that we've seen, but still just perfect for this type of event. Austin lined up on lane 7. Waiting for the buzzer to go off. The kids often do this where they're poised, they're ready, they are positioned, ready to go, and then sometimes it takes a while for that buzzer to come through. There we go. And off. Much better dive than we've seen before. Austin starting off strong. His freestyle yesterday in the 200 was really, really good. Finishing it again with a wonderful freestyle as we switch camera angles to get a better view. And Austin next to the yellow cap on the far left side of the swimming pool. There he is as we zoom in. Lane 7 here. And it is 100 yards, so that's going to be 2 trips back and forth. Austin so far, look at the form as he comes in, angling his hands the right way. But he's still breathing out of one side of his, breathing out of one side, which usually winds up slowing you down. You want to breathe out of both sides because then you wind up having to only wait for that one breath, and that might can slow down your stroke if you're not careful with it. But so far looking like a strong swim. And final time is 1:11:49. Austin started with the seed time, an entry time of 1:10:80, so he gained 0.69 seconds off of that one. Slight increase there. Off to the 200-yard breaststroke. This is another event that Austin has never actually swam before, and so he has an entry time, a seed time of 3:18. 3 minutes and 18 seconds, and we'll see how this turns out for him. He's starting off in lane 1, farthest from us, farthest from the edge. Already not having a great start today, unlike yesterday where he was able to drop time on both events. He's adding time to these events, so we'll see how this goes. The interesting thing about these entry times is that sometimes they could be wildly inflated and other times they could be wildly underinflated. So we'll see where this one lands. This is usually those entry times, the seed times, especially if he hasn't run the race before, they are generated based off of what the coach thinks that this swimmer can do, giving them a little bit of buffer room so as not to be too close. Austin getting a good dive on that one. That one was a good dive, much better than some of the other ones that we'd seen. Again, breaststroke being a very strong stroke for Austin. He's been making a lot of progress in the breaststroke. But it looks like this team of girls has really gained on him very, very quickly. And he is having trouble keeping up. At this level that Austin is swimming at, this is the type of interesting dichotomy you can have, where some kids get blown out of the water in their heat, and other times those heats are very, very close. It really just depends on how the times line up. Now this is the 200, so it is going to be more trips back and forth, roughly 4 times back and forth, meaning. They go the length of the pool and then come back, and go the length of the pool and then come back at least 4 times. So a lot of swimming left. Looks like Austin is trying to pace himself. It's hard for people who haven't actually done a race like this to understand what's required of the swimmer, but the 200s are more of an endurance race than you would think of. They're not necessarily the 1600s or the really long ones where you're just swimming and trying to keep pace, and it's more about going at a steady pace and keeping the endurance, but they are definitely requiring a lot more emphasis than just a regular 100. It's more of like a sprint. If you try and liken this to running, it's less of a sprint, and it's a little bit more of doing the half mile in a sense. And so it takes quite a bit of energy, and pacing is definitely a part of it. So if you're not careful, you will run out of energy much too fast, which looks like is happening to Austin right now. Almost done. This should be the last leg here as Austin rounds it out. No, maybe not. I think there's one more leg left. But this should be the home stretch. One more trip there and back, and Austin will be done. Hard to see what the time is right now. Unfortunately, we don't have a timer clock rolling. Austin, once again, trying to stick to his form. Although you notice the longer this goes, the more he pops his head up. And like I said, the more you pop your head up, the more you wind up, slowing yourself down. Austin finishing out strong as we get to the last little bit here, and we'll see what his time winds up being. Nice strong finish to that 200, first time racing that, 3:25.75, and that's going to be a gain of 7 seconds and 7.75 seconds. Pretty large gain, but as you can tell, it's a little bit different of a beast in the 100. Austin still pushing hard and finishing it very strong. So not a bad race, not a bad end to that race. Moving on to the last event of this meet for Austin, the 100-yard mixed backstroke. Austin is starting off with a seed time of 1:31.24. Let's see if he can drop time here. So far, not having much luck this half of the swim meet, on this day of the swim meet, adding time in both events so far. Hopefully, this is his lucky one. Starting off in lane 2, as once again the backstroke starts in the water. And they're off. A fairly decent dive. We haven't seen a good backstroke dive like that out of him in a while. Look at that beautiful form. Look at how his arms are coming in. He's starting strong. Really keeping up with the pack on this one. Looking like this might be one of those ones where he can drop time. This is 100, so it's one trip. It's 2 trips there and back. So he's already on his way back to complete his first trip. Very strong. Very fluid in his movements. Seeing him keep his head up, which is always good. Beautiful flip turns right there. Doing an amazing job. It's good to see him keeping up with the pack. Starting to make a little bit of progress here and close the gap on some of these other swimmers. So that little fuzziness that you saw here, that's because it's extremely cold. It's in the low 40s, high 30s outside, and inside this building they've cranked it all the way up, because you want to have the swimmers comfortable as they go in between events. So it must be at least about 80 degrees inside, and as the wind from inside blows outside, you wind up getting that nice little fog there. Austin finishing strong. The final time of 1:30.51, dropping 0.73 seconds.